Hey everybody, Marty Sliva here with Justin Davis,
Yo.
John Ryan.
Hi there.
As you can see here, we're talking about Assassin's Creed Unity, a game which I reviewed, and here's a quick refresher. Assassin's Creed Unity leverages the new generation consoles to add spectacular new sights and successful co-op multiplayer. But in doing so, it's created some substantial new problems instead of solving the series' most persistent ones. The scope is stunning, the customization is satisfying, and the multiplayer touches upon some really ambitious ideas. But the lack of a strong main character or interesting take on the Assassin's Creed universe costs it the momentum and excitement, and the persistent control problems are still a thorn in its side. The first truly new-gen Assassin's Creed game is a gorgeous, entertaining, and successful proof of concept for what lies ahead for the series, though it isn't exactly what I'd call revolutionary. So obviously one of the big things with ACU is Paris. This is sort of the densest, in my opinion, the prettiest city that Ubisoft has made an Assassin's Creed game. What did you guys think of Paris?
They talked about it being that one-to-one scale. For the first time in the series, and I didn't quite understand what that meant until I got my hands on it. First of all, it just means that even though it's one city, it's just absolutely massive.
It's real big.
Which is like a trite thing to say, but it is. It's huge.
Yeah.
But for me, what it meant in practice was now being on the streets or being on the rooftops is kind of like more of a choice.
Yeah.
Like I used to just be able to climb and flip up onto a roof and run, but now it's like it's a thing, man.
Yeah.
Like the buildings are all so tall that like it felt like more of a decision or a choice to like, all right, am I going to take to the high ground or stay on the low ground?
Yeah, and especially with. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say to that point, I feel like I spent more time climbing up the sides of buildings than I actually did trying to get across the city. Because like once you're up or down, once you make that choice, it's super easy. But I feel like they definitely give you. Because like in previous games, it's always like you should get up on the roofs and just be there for the whole thing. And now it's like there's more benefit to you being on the ground because you can go into buildings, you can hide in big crowds.
Yeah, you go underground, the catacombs.
The other interesting thing about the city being one-to-one is that I would feel like, okay, so like every Assassin's Creed, there's a lookout point that you have to get to. And I'd be like, oh, the lookout point's right over there. So I'll climb up on this building and then leap and find a way to like climb. And I would climb up on a building and realize the lookout point was still like 3 buildings away.
Like, oh, crap.
Like that scale of it really kind of messed with my head at first. It just being so impressive and so big and so dense. I definitely feel like that's an improvement. I don't know how they'll keep that up for future Assassin's Creed.
That's sort of the weird thing. It's such a sort of jarring change from Black Flag, because Black Flag, like what Kingston, like these places
you
were
had small townships.
Yeah, but it was
cities.
townships. It was all about the like sprawling sort of wilderness and the ocean and everything.
Sure, I mean the gameplay in Black Flag is fantastic, but there's no denying that it's certainly more arcadey. And,
I can't really remember any of the city. Like I remember Kingston.
Havana's the biggest one. Havana's the only like city, and
Yeah.
even then, when compared to Paris, it's like maybe 1 or 2 districts worth.
Yeah.
I like so one of the problems that so they improved it, but they still didn't go far enough, which is the NPCs. Obviously, there's the density, right?
Yeah.
That's the game's big thing, 5,000 people on screen. But like you look down a side alley and there's like some shady looking dude like hanging out there, or there's like a couple making out, or you go to a different district and you see people like, in like a meatpacking town, like working on things. Like it really feels distinct.
Yeah.
But the NPCs still feel soulless to me. Like I'm flipping all around buildings and they're just like, oh, soccer
that
blues.
guy's weird.
Soccer blues. Yeah. That's and that's one of the things. Also seeing the same character model immediately pulls you out. You can always be like, oh, it's that classic Animus.
Yeah, even if it's the same, even if it's not the same character model, but the same action.
Yeah.
Like I remember I would see some dude stumble out of a tavern and just yak in the street.
It's awesome.
And then I would round the corner and see another random dude stumble out of the corner and yak in the street.
But at least like if you compare that to 4 or any of their own games, or you just kind of see the same people, or even 4 was worse because they would just fade out of existence. When you were,
I feel like that's the way that you got to look at it for any game made earlier than 3 years ago.
And so it's obvious that it's something that's on their mind. They're trying to make you more of like a knife in the crowd. And I think they accomplished that, but I'd like to see them go even farther. Like I don't feel like people react strongly enough when they see you acting crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that. Like the scope and the scale is really impressive, but at a certain point, I would rather have it dialed back a little bit and sort of inject a little bit more life into the crowd. I would rather have 100 really interesting NPCs than
5,000 just dead bodies standing up.
Zombies.
I did feel like they accomplished that with sort of the murder mysteries, or I don't know if we're going to talk about some of that stuff later, but Paris felt like more of when you're in the missions, it felt like a little bit more of a lived-in place. Or
Yeah, well, because they introduce you to more of the NPCs in that scenario.
Yeah. Oh, Gay Perry.
Oh, Shape Harry.
In terms of the city being gorgeous, I don't actually know that much about that time period in history, about revolutionary.
You should read your database.
Read the.
You should read your initiates.
Yeah. And your companion app.
And the companion app. I was really struck by how dirty the city is.
Yeah.
This is a dirty, grimy place. All the people are dirty and filthy.
And like through all the stages of the revolution, as you progress through time, it just gets so much worse.
Yeah, it
like-
gets crazier. Like by the end, the NPCs just have heads on pikes. This place is awful.
Yeah, and like
Why would you live here?
And it feels like the city of Paris feels really threatening. Like there's these aristocratic mansions and like people pressing against the fences and just screaming and shouting and fires. And it's the first time in a video game that I've really got a sense of like, I mean, I didn't feel threatened because Arno's a badass, but like, just like if you were just a person in that world, like, this is terrifying.
I gotta go out to the country.
I should
gotta
leave
get
now.
out of
Yeah.
here. Yeah. So I think we can all agree. Paris in ACU, pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool stuff.
So let's talk about the sort of the game design and the mechanics in Unity. Ubisoft touted a lot of changes to the parkour system, to combat, and sort of just the overall flow and structure of the game. And I'm not entirely sure all those changes were for the better.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, for better or worse, there's no denying that they made more changes to the AC formula here than probably any other game.
Yeah,
It's like it feels really different.
Yeah, but I mean, so just starting off somewhere with the parkour, they added the downward parkour system, which, in my opinion, when it works, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you look really great, because in previous games, if you're on top of a building, unless there was a haystack below you, just like,
You would kind of like hope you wouldn't die.
you're gonna hop and pray that you have enough
Yeah.
health.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like Arno, like the buildings are well designed enough to where you can you're swinging down, the animations are really cool, you look like a chimp.
Yeah. But that's if you actually manage to get off the right thing.
And when it works, and I
It's
think
the same. It's the same as these games have always been. Like you're flipping all around on ledges and buildings, and your character is not doing what you intended. I don't feel like I have control over Arno.
Yeah,
I disagree. I feel like I do 85% of the time.
So you're jumping into windowsills when you want to.
No, I've never
jumped into windowsills when I want to.
No, my thing is, it's never when I'm doing the broad parkour stuff. It's not leaping from rooftop to rooftop and jumping off the wrong one. It's when I'm trying to like sneak up past a group of guards, and instead of like leaping over cover and into the next one, I just stand on a chair and I'm like, hello.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then you can't get down.
It's like, that's a problem systemic in open world games, but it's just becoming more and more noticeable. Like the second my character in a game isn't doing what I want him to do, then at that point, like there's a problem. Like I lose my connection with the game.
It's weird too because you see them sampling all of these elements from other games in the control scheme. So like the cover system comes from Watch Dogs, which I thought Watch Dogs' cover system was great.
Yeah.
But for some reason, in the switch from that to Assassin's Creed Unity, they took out the ability to round corners in cover. And it's like, if you're gonna borrow ideas from other games that you've done, take the stuff that works and not just like bits and pieces of it.
They're moving in the right direction. I don't think parkour down works especially well. They have a dedicated stealth button now, and I don't think it works especially well.
It felt kind of half-assed.
But they've to me that's Ubisoft signifying, hey, look, we recognize that sort of control in this game has become kind of a problem. We're trying to solve it. I don't think they got there yet, and I don't know how many games they have to try to figure it out. But to me, it's still troublesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of especially jarring for me the game I reviewed before Unity was Sunset Overdrive. And that was a game where just the act of getting from point A to point B was probably some of the most entertaining gameplay I've had all year.
Super well thought out, tight, kind of perfect. It just feels like that control is the one thing, like everything hangs off of that.
Yeah.
I do think some of the content, so you gave the game a 7.8, which is very good, almost great.
Yeah.
I don't like it nearly that much. I'm not wild about it at all. I think it might be the worst Assassin's Creed.
Sacre bleu.
Wait, like ever?
Yeah, ever.
What about Revelations?
I like Revelations.
All right, fine. Liberation.
Well, no, I don't count Liberation as one of the mainline games.
But it is.
Whatever. Anyway, I don't like Unity.
Yeah.
But what I do like about it is that it expects. it expects more of the player.
Yeah.
Like it, sort of. You never know when they're hyping up a game, whether that's real or
Yeah.
whether it's fake. And one of the things that they hyped up with Unity was, yo, man, we're just gonna turn you loose and do missions however you want, and that's totally true.
Yeah.
And it delivers on that. It's like you can go in Notre Dame through the front door. You
Yeah.
can go in through this window. You can find some other side way
You
in.
can steal the keys. You
Yeah,
can like.
I like
get to the
those sort of
backside.
cornerstone executions that cap off every one of the sequences.
Yeah.
And they felt really good, like
And it was
really
good,
cool sandbox.
too, because the sequences were shorter in this game than they have been
Yeah.
previously. So you never felt like you were doing too many BS missions to get to the next really
Yeah.
fun
Like
sandbox.
AAA game design, for better or worse, I totally understand why they do it. It's, go to this point on the map, and then we'll hold your hand and drag you to the next point, and then we'll hold your hand and drag you to the next point. That's what video games are now.
Yeah.
And it's bold of Assassin's Creed Unity to not do that.
Yeah.
I'm
waiting for the shoe to drop.
Yeah, no, there is no shooter drop.
Yeah.
Like, I don't find the moment-to-moment gameplay especially fun. I think I think it's kind of buggy. I think the business decisions in the game are gross. But that mission design, I absolutely give them props for that. And even the side stuff, like the murder mysteries, are like, you need to think. Like, you have to use your brain.
Yeah.
in
Yeah, have
Assassin's
you done
Creed
any of
Unity.
the Enigmas, the Nostradamus Enigmas?
Yeah, those are challenging as well. Yeah.
That was a Nostradamus noise.
That was like that's the noise I make every time I find a new one.
Notre Damus.
So I think I give them a lot of credit for trusting gamers that are playing their game to use their brains to solve actual, legitimate
It's a
puzzles.
refreshing kind of roundabout back to the way things sort of used to be, where it was like
that
you're
was
just gonna have to do
one of
it.
the most frustrating things for me in the game was I had these so many like moments of brilliance where it's like, yes, this is what I just want these handfuls of things expanded.
Yep.
Whereas everything is sort of padded by all the stuff I don't want, and every time
Like cockades and chests.
Yeah, and every time you find a chest, you're like, all right, I'm gonna open this, and then all of a
Like,
sudden
you're
it's like,
not.
oh, are you connected to Uplay, or
Are
oh,
you
do you have a
companion app?
companion app?
It's so gross.
It is really bad.
I cannot believe that they made this gorgeous, highly detailed version of revolutionary Paris. You immerse yourself in this world, and then it literally spams you for Ubisoft services.
Yeah.
If people don't know this, there are treasure chests all over the map that you can't open if you don't have the companion app. And then there's different treasure chests that you can't open if you haven't signed up for Assassin's Creed Initiates, which I don't even know what that is. Because I'm like, that's gross as
It's a
hell.
web-based text adventure.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was. I think
No,
I was
it's not a
describing.
text
I was
adventure.
describing it to some of you guys as it felt like watching a show on Hulu where you keep being interrupted by these commercials, and you're like, this isn't how.
But they don't give you the option to say this ad's not relative to me.
Yeah,
And it's so disgusting and terrible because you just know that this game was made by 1,000 people and 990 of them wanted to make this game, and then there were 10 dudes somewhere saying, look, we know that these locked away treasure chests are going to make everybody really mad, but then they did the math, and they're like, it's going to get 10% of people to sign up for AC Initiates, and then we know that that's going to make us X number of dollars.
Yeah.
Like, they weighed the pros and cons, and it just didn't come out in gamers' favor, and it feels really gross.
It's weird though, because I don't see AC Initiates being a huge moneymaker for them at all. Even if that does 10%
none of us even know what it is.
Exactly.
No, but I'm just saying,
No, I
like,
know what you mean.
They're
Yeah.
trying to get people to sign up for Ubisoft
Yeah.
services and be injected into their sort of ecosystem and Uplay.
It's
and,
the
At
most
least it's
I've ever-
not microtransactions.
I mean,
But there's plenty
there
of
are
that in
those.
the
Oh,
Yeah.
there's plenty of those as well.
it's
but-
sort of it's the most. The most times in a AAA game where the game has ever sort of wanted me to stop playing the game and do something else.
Yeah.
It's like taking the whole, how Nintendo's like, hey, you seem tired, maybe you should take a break. It's like that, but a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's Nintendo's suggestion is like, oh, outside and play in the sun. And
You said there's something
And they're like, go onto your computer and sign up for our website.
yeah.
you said there's 6 or 7 options in like the pause menu, and I think 3 of them take you out of
Every
the
other
game.
option
Yep.
is like, go to the eShop, go to Uplay, go to this. Yeah.
So, it's a game of highs and lows. Unfortunately, and it's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Like, for you, the highs outweighed the lows. For me, they certainly didn't.
Sure, completely understand that. Yeah, that's sort of the frustrating thing is that I think we can all agree that Unity has these moments of brilliance, but it's sort of filled in by these.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very impressive game from a technical standpoint. Well, we'll get to that, I suppose. I mean, I haven't noticed that many technical issues, aside from not being able to get off my chair.
Yeah.
But then when you get into the meat and potatoes of how it was all put together, you might think twice before saying, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah. All right, so obviously one of the big topics around Unity, which has been blowing up after launch, is that people are having a hard time playing this game, actually. People are reporting a lot of bugs, a lot of connectivity issues, a lot of weird things happening.
People's faces looking like the moon in Majora's Mask.
Yeah, whoa, that's spooky. So I played, over the course of the review, probably about 35 to 40 hours on Xbox One and PS4 and PC, mostly on Xbox One. I stumbled across very few, if none of these issues. I don't know, how did you guys, like, there's The game runs at like a little bit under 30, which is fine.
I mean,
with me.
it's around.
Okay, so I don't know what problems you're having.
I will say there have been. I've never seen as serious frame rate drops as people are claiming to get. Like I saw one YouTube video where it was like.
Yeah, there's a
4 frames
infamous
a second, if
stained
even
glass
maybe.
window.
Yeah,
For some
that's
reason
the
it's
one.
really buggy.
I've never experienced anything that bad.
Yeah.
I've noticed it drops down to probably 20, maybe 18 every once in a while if I'm going through like a really crowded area when I'm running really fast.
I definitely think the game chugs. I'm not a guy that's sensitive to frame rate.
You're not
Like,
a chugger.
it's something running at 30 or locked 30.
Yeah,
like
whatever.
I don't know. Like I'm not that sensitive to it. And I'm playing on the Xbox One, which unusually has a better frame rate than the PS4. And I definitely noticed it. I noticed the frame rate.
Like, was it?
Well, yeah, I mean,
was it to a point where like diminished? I guess if you notice it, it is affecting your experience because as soon as you're thinking about.
It doesn't make it bad. Though,
I mean, in the case of Assassin's Creed specifically, like that's a game built on fluid movement, and I just definitely felt like it had it's one of the first times in recent memory that I can feel like the frame rate had an impact on how much fun I was having.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that could have just been the animus.
That's just.
Well, that's kind of
I love that. That's the excuse that
Literally
Ubisoft can always.
anything.
Yeah. All those 2,000 of the 5,000 NPCs on screen are the same person. That's just the animus simulation.
can't-
man.
it
that
doesn't
ain't
know
us.
what's going on,
That ain't
man.
us. That's the animus. Yeah, I felt bad because after the review went up, I gave it a 7.8. I really enjoyed the game. A lot of people are tweeting at me like, "Game's broken. Why'd you give it a 7.8?" I'm like, in my 35, I can only tell you
how
what
much Mountain Dew have you spilled in your Xbox?
I can only tell you what my 35 to 40 hours were. Whereas I didn't stumble across faces melting like the
I've never seen anything
Raiders
like
of the Lost
that.
Ark.
I've never seen frame rate drops.
I didn't see
like
anyone
I've
go
seen maybe
through.
the most is like watching a cutscene, like a character will like pass through somebody else in the background.
Yeah, but
Or,
that
like,
was just a ghost. That was a spooky
it was
ghost.
a spooky ghost in the Animus.
Animus Ghost. So I haven't actually messed around with the co-op at all. You
Yeah.
two have.
Yeah, and I thought it worked great. We were able to get into matches pre-launch.
Pretty quick. I mean, there was a few connectivity issues
but this was
pre-launch,
pre-launch,
but then
so there wasn't a
after
ton of
launch,
people.
after launch, it was a little bit difficult
Yeah.
because there were a ton of people on
Yeah.
it. But I only got dropped from a session once.
Yeah.
There were never experiences that I had where I'd be like waiting for forever and then you're out. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like it was never an issue.
Yeah, I've had good experiences with the co-op, and I've really enjoyed it. I think I don't think it's quite the. I don't know, because when the game was revealed at E3, this was sort of the you
supposed
see
to
the
be the big
forest as like this is going to be the game. This is woven in. Like yes, it is woven in throughout the entire game. You can choose to hop in these co-op missions, 2-player missions, 4-player missions, whenever you want. But to me, they felt like really interesting side quests. It's still not the main reason I'm going to play through Assassin's Creed.
Oh yeah. No, honestly, I would have liked the option to play them alone.
Yeah.
And they did, and at least they worked from a technical
You can play
standpoint.
them alone.
You can play some of them alone.
Yeah.
Really?
Like the ones that need 2 to 4 players, you
Yeah,
can't play.
but it's lonely. It's like
It's much more
it's like
difficult.
going to dinner by yourself.
Oh, that's really sad.
Yeah, I do that
Reading
sometimes.
a book.
I do that sometimes.
Oh,
that got sad. That
like
got
an
sad.
old man eating
Oh,
soup
so
at a
this game,
restaurant.
I mean, even besides sort of the nuts and bolts of the
Yeah.
technical issues, to me, we know that the Assassin's Creed games are games that are made by teams of 1,000 people
Yep.
at 10
Spanning
different
the globe.
studios all
Oh
over
yeah,
the world.
I've seen the you can fast forward through the credits.
I heard
and it
it's
still takes 20 minutes.
I think I read that, they're like over 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
And to me, the game feels that way. So even besides, like, again, like things you can specifically point to, like there's a bug right there.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like it was someone's job to get 5,000 NPCs on screen.
Yeah.
And they did it. And then there's someone else, literally probably on the other side of the
Yeah.
globe, that's like, yo, but these NPCs are dropping the frame rate and they all look the same. But then there's no one it feels like Ubisoft is having trouble connecting the
Yeah.
dots and how these games are made.
Yeah.
And the guy that was in charge of that crowd behavior is like, yo, I did it. Check that off the list.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a game designed by check marks.
Yeah.
But
I
it
mean,
doesn't feel as problematic as like 3 did, for example, because 3 was plagued by that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's similar. Like it's
It's
got
similar,
a similar
but it's
vibe.
not nearly as bad.
It
yeah,
doesn't
I mean,
feel.
Go ahead.
No, that's all.
No, I mean that's the interesting thing is because it is, the game is on I think they call it 24-hour dev cycle because like they're
Round the
everywhere
clock.
from Kiev to Singapore to Montreal to Toronto. Like there are people working on this game 24 hours a day, and yeah, I mean I think you lose a little bit of something by, it's not like it's outsourced, but it's just there's so many cooks in so many different kitchens.
Yeah.
Which makes everything kind of confusing.
There's so much in the game.
Yeah.
It's like, take out the ability for you to upgrade your crazy cafe and
Yeah.
spar with your partner up
Yep.
on the roof. And take out, have only 20 murder mysteries instead of like 30 or however
Yeah.
many there are. Like cut back a little bit, and make it so that there's 3,000 NPCs on screen instead of 5,000.
Yeah.
And then you'd have a game that's 30 frames per second. You'd presumably have a game that's closer to being bug free.
Yeah.
you know, in a game that, in my opinion, it feels soulless, and I feel like they can put some of that soul back in if they
Get a groove back.
Yeah, I mean, they're really focused on ticking. I keep coming back to this idea that it strongly feels like a game that they had this big list of goals, and they're like, get there no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and then again, keep circling back to the frustrating thing about it is it has those incredible highs.
Yeah.
And you're like, if only it just took these things. I mean, that's just endemic of AAA games nowadays. You need to have X amount of content with a capital C.
I feel like that's definitely part of it. It's like, you know, with this being one of the first games released exclusively for the next-gen consoles, you know, everything from this point forth is going to be the race of who can do what first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really an apples-to-apples comparison because they're completely different genres, but I'm playing a lot of Dragon Age.
Dargon Age.
Dargon Age. I'm playing some Dargon Age right now. And it's huge and polished.
Yeah.
So there are games that can have their cake and eat it too, and you know, as a result of a compressed development cycle or budgets or whatever, like Assassin's Creed just wasn't able to pull it off, in my opinion.
What do you know what I say about that? Let them eat cake. Paris!
Get out.